All right, getting ready for a refuse vehicle driver interview.
Mm-hmm.
We're going deep on these RoleCatcher resources
Yeah.
to help you just absolutely crush it. We've got a full career overview,
Wow.
a detailed interview guide, even some insights into how AI can, like, really give you an advantage.
Give you an edge. Yeah.
Yeah, an edge in your job search. Think of this whole deep dive as, like, your secret weapon to interview success.
You know what's really fascinating here?
That's that,
RoleCatcher isn't just about like giving you information,
right?
It helps you tailor your approach to each specific job.
Yeah,
It's like having like a personalized coach
they love
right in your corner.
So before we jump into all the interview questions, can we take a minute to just really understand what a refuse vehicle driver actually does all day?
Absolutely. It's way more than just driving.
Yeah.
You're responsible for safe and efficient collection of waste, managing the vehicle, potentially dealing with hazardous materials. You're a crucial part of keeping our communities clean and healthy.
That's huge.
And that sense of responsibility,
Yeah.
that's something you really want to get across in the interview.
I can imagine. The guide really emphasizes the importance of certain skills and knowledge, and obviously a commercial driver's license is, you got to have it.
Yeah, that's a given.
But they also highlight customer service skills, which I think is interesting. Why are those so important for this role?
Think about it. You're interacting with residents every single day.
Right.
You might encounter someone frustrated about a missed pickup,
Totally.
has questions about like recycling guidelines.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to handle those interactions professionally with empathy.
Yeah.
That's super important.
That makes total sense.
Oh, yeah.
They also mention mechanical knowledge.
Right, because you are responsible for maintaining that vehicle.
Okay.
Being able to do basic checks, identify potential issues, maybe even do some minor repairs. That can really set you apart. It shows you're proactive, that you take pride in your work.
Right. It shows you care.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's dive into some of these interview questions. I'm guessing, can you tell me about your experience operating refuse vehicles? Is a pretty common one.
Definitely. And it's your chance to go beyond just, listing the types of vehicles.
All right.
Talk about specialized equipment you've used, certifications, any like challenging situations you faced on the road.
And this is where RoleCatcher, right?
Yes.
RoleCatcher can actually analyze the specific job description
Exactly.
and suggest which skills and experiences to highlight in your answer.
Exactly. It helps you tailor it
Oh, that's so smart.
to what that employer is looking for. It gives you an advantage.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, what about safety protocols? I'm sure that's a big one in this role.
Huge. And when they ask about safety protocols,
Yeah.
don't just rattle off a list.
Right.
Explain why those protocols matter, how you go above and beyond to make sure everyone's safe.
Right, because you're not just, like, checking boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
You're really thinking about it.
Yeah, you're committed to it.
Yeah, they might even ask a follow-up question like, have you ever had to correct a colleague on a safety issue? Like, how did you approach that?
Oh, for sure. If they're looking for leadership, they're there.
Yeah.
Can you handle a sensitive situation
Right.
diplomatically?
That makes sense.
And RoleCatcher's AI, this is so cool.
Yeah.
It can actually analyze your tone and language,
Oh.
make sure you're saying it the right way.
That's incredible. Okay, so another question that might come up is, how do you handle difficult or hazardous waste materials?
This is where you show them, your stuff, about the different categories of waste and that you're committed to safety.
Huh?
Detail your process for like how you identify it, sort it, dispose of it,
Yeah,
especially the stuff that needs extra care.
that makes sense. I bet they also throw in some curveball questions like, what's the most unusual waste item you've ever had to deal with? And how did you handle it?
Oh, they love those. Don't be afraid to share a quick story,
Yeah.
something relevant that shows you can solve problems. Think on your feet.
Right, exactly. And speaking of thinking on your feet, how do you prioritize your routes and schedules?
Ooh, yeah.
That seems like it's really getting at like how adaptable you are
That's a big one.
as a driver.
You got to think about the traffic, the weather, unexpected delays.
Oh, that.
You want to show them you can adjust, stay organized, and communicate any changes clearly.
Oh, yeah, communication, super important.
Really important.
So I imagine they'll want to hear about those communication skills in action with a follow-up question like, tell me about a time you had to adjust your schedule on the fly. How did you communicate those changes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They want to see you under pressure, Can you stay professional? Keep everyone informed. This is where being prepared makes all the difference. And RoleCatcher
Right.
can help you practice your answers and get feedback.
That's awesome. Okay, so we know customer interactions are a big part of this job.
Yeah.
So how would you suggest someone approach the question, how do you handle customer complaints or issues?
Hmm. Remember, you're the face of the company when you're out there, right?
Yeah.
Focus on really listening, showing empathy, and finding solutions. Highlight how you can de-escalate those tense situations and actually turn a negative experience
Oh, wow.
into a positive one.
Yeah, I like that. Turn that frown upside down.
Exactly.
And to really illustrate those skills, they might ask you to tell me about a time you turned a negative customer experience into a positive one.
It's a classic. Have a story ready,
Yeah, good example.
Something that shows you're willing to go the extra mile.
This is all fantastic advice. But before we move on to more interview questions, can we take a quick pause and go back to those career paths we mentioned earlier?
Oh, yeah.
Because landing the job is just the first step.
It is. You're right. There's so much more to this field
Right.
than just the entry level.
Okay, so let's get back to those interview questions.
Yeah.
I'm imagining they'll want to know about your approach to, like, vehicle maintenance.
Yeah.
Something like, how do you make sure your vehicle's properly maintained and serviced?
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah.
It's your chance to show them you're proactive, you're on top of things.
Okay.
Talk about regular inspections, preventive maintenance, how you troubleshoot any issues that come up.
So it's not enough to just say, I follow the recommended maintenance schedule.
Nope. Go deeper. Explain why those procedures matter.
Yeah, okay.
Not just for safety, but for efficiency, making sure you don't have downtime.
Right. That all makes sense.
Yeah.
And then they might even ask, like, can you describe a time you identified a potential mechanical problem and the steps you took to resolve it?
For sure.
Right.
And this is where you can really shine. Show them you're a problem solver,
Yeah.
that you understand the mechanics. And RoleCatcher can help here too, It can analyze the company's values and suggest how to tailor your answer
Oh, that's cool.
to their specific culture.
Okay, so next question. How do you make sure you're following all the regulations and guidelines when you're collecting and disposing of waste materials?
This one's all about showing, the industry inside and out,
Mm-hmm.
and that you're serious about compliance. Mention federal, state, local regulations, any relevant certifications you have.
So it's not just about knowing the rules.
No.
It's about showing you take them seriously.
Exactly. You want to highlight your dedication to responsible waste management practices.
Gotcha. What about follow-up questions there? Could they ask something like, have you ever had a situation where a customer's waste disposal wasn't compliant? How did you handle it?
They might. They're looking for your ability to educate people, to enforce those regulations, but do it diplomatically.
Right. Because sometimes you have to tell people
You do.
that they're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be like,
Exactly.
rude about it.
Tactful.
Yeah. Tactful. And this is another area where RoleCatcher's AI can be super helpful.
Giving you feedback on your approach and how you communicate.
That's awesome. Okay, so we talked about safety a few times, but I bet there's like a more direct question about it. Like, how do you prioritize safety in your everyday work?
Oh, absolutely. This is where you really get to expand on those safety protocols.
Okay.
Share your personal commitment to safety.
Yeah.
How you promote a safety-conscious culture. How you proactively identify and address hazards.
So it's not just about, what the rules are.
Yeah.
It's about, like, that you really live it.
You live it, you breathe it.
Okay. Maybe even give an example of a time you went above and beyond to make sure things were safe.
Perfect. A real-life example brings it to life.
Totally. Okay, before we get to our final question, I have to ask about something you mentioned earlier, RoleCatcher's AI-powered video tool. Can you tell me a little more about how that works for interview prep?
Oh, it's amazing. You can record yourself answering questions, and the AI analyzes it. Your delivery, body language, even what you're saying.
Wow, it's like having a virtual interview coach.
It really is. And it gives you personalized suggestions,
Right.
which can be so helpful for building confidence.
That's amazing. Okay, last question on our list. How do you ensure that you are meeting customer expectations and providing excellent customer service?
All right.
It seems like customer service is a bigger part of this role than people might realize.
It really is. Remember, you're out there interacting with the public every single day. Highlight your friendly and efficient service, your ability to handle complaints with empathy,
Yeah.
and leave a positive impression.
And of course, they might ask for a specific example, like, give me an example of a time you went above and beyond for a customer.
Oh, they love that one. Have a story ready that shows you're willing to go that extra mile.
This has been so helpful, but I'm also really curious about those career progression opportunities we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
What are some of the paths someone could take beyond the driver's seat?
There are actually quite a few options, and it's a really exciting time to be in waste management,
Okay.
with all the innovation happening.
Well, let's dive into that. We'll explore those career paths and how RoleCatcher can help you navigate your journey in this evolving industry.
There's just so much you can do, yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's get back to those interview questions. I imagine they'll want to know about, like, your approach to vehicle maintenance. Something like, how do you make sure your vehicle's properly maintained and serviced?
That's a good one. It's a chance to show them that you're proactive, you're on top of things.
Okay.
Talk about regular inspections, preventative maintenance, how you troubleshoot issues.
So it's not enough to just say, like, oh, I follow the recommended maintenance schedule.
No. You want to go deeper. Explain why these things matter.
Okay, yeah.
Not just for safety, but for efficiency, too. You don't want any downtime.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
They might even ask, can you describe a time you identified a potential mechanical problem and how you fixed it?
Oh, for sure. That's where you can really impress them. Show them you can solve problems and that you get the mechanics of it all. RoleCatcher can even help you here,
Really?
It can analyze the company's values and suggest how to tailor your answer to their specific culture.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. How do you make sure you're following all the regulations and guidelines when collecting and disposing of waste?
All right, this one is all about showing that you know this industry and you're serious about compliance. Mention those regulations, federal, state, local, any certifications you have.
So it's not just about knowing the rules, but showing you take them seriously.
Exactly. You want to highlight your dedication to responsible waste management.
Gotcha. What about follow-up questions there? Could they ask, like, have you ever been in a situation where a customer's waste disposal wasn't compliant, and how did you handle it?
It's possible. They want to see if you can educate people,
Right.
enforce those regulations, but do it diplomatically.
Right. Because sometimes you got to tell people they're doing it wrong, but you don't want to be, like,
Right.
rude about it.
Be tactful.
Tactful, yeah.
Yeah.
This is another area where RoleCatcher's AI can give you feedback.
Absolutely, on your approach and how you say things.
That's awesome.
All right.
Okay, we've talked about safety a few times, but I bet there's a more direct question about it, like, how do you prioritize safety in your work every day?
Oh, you bet. This is where you can really dig into those safety protocols we talked about.
Okay, yeah.
Share your personal commitment to safety, how you make sure everyone's thinking about it, how you find and address hazards.
It's like you're not just following the rules.
Yeah.
You're living it.
You live and breathe it. Safety first.
Okay, maybe even give an example of a time you went above and beyond to make sure things were safe on the job.
Yes. The example brings it all together.
Totally. Okay, before we get to our final question, I have to ask about something you mentioned earlier, RoleCatcher's AI video tool.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell me more about how that works for interview prep?
It's pretty cool. You record yourself answering questions, and then the AI analyzes it all. How you speak, your body language, what you're saying.
Well, that's like having a virtual coach right there.
It really is. And it gives you tips, personalized suggestions for improvement.
That's incredible. Okay, last question. How do you ensure you're meeting customer expectations and providing excellent service?
Ooh, right.
It seems like customer service is a bigger deal in this job than people might realize.
It is. You're interacting with the public all day long. Make sure you highlight friendly and efficient service, your ability to handle complaints with empathy,
Yeah.
and leave people with a good impression.
And of course, they might ask for a specific example, like, give me an example of a time you went above and beyond for a customer.
Oh, that's a classic. Make sure you have a story ready that shows you go the extra mile.
This has been so helpful. But I'm also really curious about those career progression opportunities we touched on earlier. What are some of the paths someone could take beyond driving?
There are a lot of options, actually, and it's a really exciting time to be in waste management with all the new stuff happening.
Let's talk about that. We'll explore those career paths and how RoleCatcher can help you navigate your journey in this evolving industry.
It is a lot of innovation.
So many cool things happening. So what are some of those options for someone who starts out as a refuse vehicle driver? What can they do?
Well, as you gain experience and show some leadership skills,
Right.
you could move into a supervisory role,
Yeah.
become a team lead or a dispatcher, manage those routes and schedules.
So you could go from behind the wheel to, like, managing a whole team of drivers.
Exactly. And with enough experience, you could even become a fleet manager, oversee a whole operation, make sure everything's running smoothly.
Wow. That's a pretty big jump. What about for someone who's, like, really passionate about a specific part of waste management? Can they specialize?
Absolutely. You could focus on recycling
Oh,
or hazardous waste disposal, or even get involved in developing new, more sustainable waste treatment technologies.
oh, wow.
That's a big one these days.
That's really cool. So those specialized roles, though,
Yeah,
they probably require additional training and certifications, right?
they often do, but
Yeah.
they can be really rewarding.
Okay, so how does RoleCatcher, like it's fit into all of this?
Mhm.
How does it help with all these career advancements?
Remember how we talked about RoleCatcher's AI analyzing job descriptions?
Uh-huh.
It can actually do the same thing for your career goals.
What?
Yeah. You input your skills, your experience, what you want to do,
Right.
and it'll suggest potential career paths for you.
That's so cool.
It'll even identify which skills you might need to develop.
Wow. So it's like having your own like personalized career advisor.
It is. It can really help you plan out your journey, stay on track, and don't forget about networking.
Yeah, that's huge.
Huge. RoleCatcher can connect you with other people in the industry,
Right.
tell you about relevant training programs, and even notify you about upcoming events.
That's amazing. So even if you're just starting out, you can use RoleCatcher to kind of explore those possibilities and start building your network.
Absolutely. Be proactive. Take control of your career.
Yeah, I love that. Well, this whole deep dive has been so insightful. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your expertise and just really helping us understand this world.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Such a vital role,
Right?
and it often goes unnoticed, so I'm glad we could shed some light on it all.
Absolutely. And to all of you listening out there, remember, preparation is key. And with the right tools and resources like RoleCatcher, you can really stand out in your interview and beyond.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck, everyone. We're rooting for you.